Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Let's Do Rude podcast.
Welcome back. So yeah,
we're so back.
We're so back.
We have decided to start doing the podcast again at 1 month intervals.
Yes, starting with something manageable for both of us.
Yeah. Definitely, when I think now that we were doing it every week, I'm like, oh, no wonder it was like just a lot,
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And we would meet up, which we might have talked about this like more recently. Also, I'm at the end of a cold, and
the end of a pregnancy.
And the end of a pregnancy where I'm congested 24/7. So if I sniffle, I'll try not to do it into the mic. But yeah, I mean, we would get together at least twice a month and try to record too. And like, I think we said this in the episode, like where I was doing it independently and like I had you on.
Dipped out. Oh.
I bailed on you. No, like.
The one where we were talking about my birth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was. Also, I have pregnancy brain, so I don't remember anything. But yeah, we were just like that. It was a lot. And I don't know if I guess we fully felt this way, but like when we'd get together, it's like, all right, all business.
It was all about the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Tanner always said, that he was annoyed by it. He was like, I wish that every time we hung out, it wasn't about the podcast. We could actually hang out.
Yeah, we would always try to like capitalize on us always being together. But we're like, oh, if we're together, we might as well do a podcast.
I mean, we live an hour apart. So it's like, if we're seeing each other, you might as well do the podcast. Anyways, for anyone who has not been with us
OG.
for that long, we did the podcast for over a year. Mm-hmm. Then Jenna, was like, I can't. I was going through a lot of things, and I was just like, I can't.
Go back and listen to her birth episode with Silas. I don't know what it's labeled. It's only a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
She explains everything.
So I was like, I can't. So then Ashley did it by herself for a while. Then she stopped. Then she did it by herself for a while again. And then we both were kind of like, what if we just did it once a month together again? So it's not so overwhelming. But we both like missed it a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And it is such a fun, it's a fun thing to do together. And it's also fun. I feel like we had like a good audience. Like, obviously I'm not saying it was like, oh, it's so popular, but I felt like our listeners
they cared about us.
We had a connection with them.
We did. And hopefully like they're like, I've thought about this so much because yeah, like she said, she like took time away and was like, I can't do it anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And then I was like, this is a lot to do by myself. Yeah. And so then I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then a few months into being pregnant, you know what it was, is I got that false, like, second trimester wind
burst
and energy. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And Cole was like, that's amazing. Like, I love that for you. And then we went to Europe. I think I put out like 3 or 4 episodes, like I was not just me, but like that I was like restarting it. And then we went to Europe, and which when we got back from Europe is when I entered the 3rd trimester, and I was like, that sounds like the most energy I could ever exude is to do the podcast.
And I like remember whenever you started doing it again, and I was like listening to your episodes, I was like, oh, I kind of like wish I was on it.
Why am I not there?
But then I was like, oh, I don't know if I would be ready to like commit again. So I'm glad that we both are like at the point where we're just like, okay, once a month is good. And also I feel like then we can put more into
each episode. And also at this point, who cares if we talk for an hour and a half or 2 hours?
Yeah, it's at this point, it actually is just for fun. And I don't know. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah. So I told you like before we were starting that
I wonder if it's the same thing I was going to say.
Probably. I was going to say a fun little anecdote. So when we started the podcast, it was when Jenna was 9 months pregnant with Monty, which is absolutely crazy because 2 weeks ago was her 2nd birthday.
Yeah, that's insane.
That makes me actually so sad. But our first episode was recorded in Monty's room, and
Sitting on the floor.
Sitting on the floor, and we didn't know how to work our mics, and our mics were so bad that they would pick up each other's audio, and so we sat across the room from each other and recorded. And today we are sitting in Cohen's room, which is so
Why
crazy.
am I gonna cry?
I know. It's actually
so
like
cute.
so I'm just emotional about everything these days, but like there was a it was like somebody's birthday the other day, and I like said to Cole, I was like, that's crazy that they're turning that age, because I remember like when they turned this age, and like we went to this party, and like the Soliches were there and Peter and everything, and I was like, that was 5 years ago. No, that like feels like it can't be. And I was like, I remember pictures like from like that party and stuff, and I was like, where has time gone? And I'm not even a parent yet, but I feel like I turned 26 last week, and I feel like so deeply that I'm like mourning like my 20s, like not in like a like, oh my gosh, I don't want to turn 30. Like, I believe life like from here on out will only get better and like full of more joy, but I'm just like, I feel like time is literally slipping through my fingers. Like
Slipping through my fingers. Since COVID has happened, I blinked.
Yeah.
And we're here. That was about to be 5 years ago that COVID happened. Like, I still know how to do the savage dance. It's still a muscle memory for me.
You went viral in COVID on TikTok.
Oh, yes.
There were so
What if we
many...
did a COVID episode of like...
Our COVID lore.
A 5-year COVID. We'll do it in March maybe.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
That would be so fun.
But I think the whole COVID thing, like, and then COVID happened, and then meeting Cole, and then getting married, and then like spending 2 years married, and then now like getting ready to have a baby. I'm just like, us celebrating 2 years, I was like, no. Like, I blinked and it happened.
Your wedding was yesterday.
I know.
Like, literally, it's so weird. Like, even my other best friend, Madison, I just visited her this weekend. She just had a baby. Also, her wedding was yesterday. Like, it's just insane being this stage of life is so weird. Like, seeing your best friends have children.
And I just, well, when you had Monty, you were like 9 months pregnant. Oh, sorry. You were 8 months pregnant at our wedding. And we were like, oh, just hold on. Like, Monty, stay in there. And then it was like, the excitement of Cole and I getting married. And then now I'm like, how am I sitting at her second birthday?
Yes.
Pregnant, 9 months pregnant with my baby when my wedding was 2 seconds ago.
It's so insane. Do you want to give like a little third trimester recap?
Sure.
How are you doing?
There's so much to cover since the last time I spoke to everyone. Also, I'm sorry for falling off the face of the planet, because I literally didn't even post on Instagram. I think I posted 1 week like, oh, technical difficulties, like there won't be an episode.
The technical difficulties was I don't want to do it.
I forgot to record. Okay, to be fair, I think that week though, it was like the thing that we record on was left in a different location, and so it was like 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, and Cole's like, I'm not going to get that. And I was like, I'm not recording after you get it. Like, that's totally fine. And so that was one thing. And then we went to Europe the week after, and I was like, like, we're not going to record, but I'm definitely going to record our Europe recap. And, I will, so, like, this is a good place to start. Like, we went to Europe. I can talk, like, more on that, like, later on. It's, like, not the most important thing, but, like, we can do an episode on it or something like that. But we got back from Europe. That was the beginning. Like, we came back the day after our anniversary, which was like October 2nd. And I kid you not, life has been nonstop since then.
Well, yeah. I mean, a wedding photographer's fall is just, it's insane.
We had more weddings between October and November. Like, that was half of our season.
Yeah.
Than the other half of the year.
That was ours, but flipped. It was May.
Interesting. We had
April
like, like 2 in May, and like the whole season was great. Like, it was like 2 in May, 2 in June, 3 in July. Like, they were all pretty spread out, but literally it was October 5th, October 12th. Like, it was, I think there was 4 weekends in October, we had 3 weddings, and well, technically like an elopement too, and then our baby shower, and we had all of our family coming in for the baby shower, and like Cole and I are both very much like DIY people, and so it's like when we're not editing weddings and also going to our regular jobs, we were like planning stuff for the baby shower. And I will say, like, I sometimes I have a hard time giving like responsibilities to other people because I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. But like both you and Katie and my mom and like other and Dawn Marie, Cole's mom, were like very helpful, and so I felt really good about that. I feel like that was like one of the first times I really relinquished a lot of control, and it turned out exactly how I wanted it to, and so I was like, okay, I feel good about that. But then November was the same way. It was also we had to go to Colorado for a wedding at the end of October, which
is so crazy because we were shooting a wedding in Colorado and we got to see each other.
Yeah, very, very briefly, because like our wedding was more like a family wedding, and so we didn't end up renting a car, so we just kind of stuck with them the whole time. But
mooching rides off them,
literally. But Jen and Tan came by and hung out with us for like lunch and stuff one day. But yeah, I heard some people, or like as we've seen people, they were like, oh, did you guys plan that? And I was like, no, Jenna and I were just talking about schedules, and we were like, wait, we have a wedding in Colorado in November.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I don't need to go into the details, but some things got mixed up, and we were not originally going to, I think, really even get to see each other.
Yeah.
And then we had an extra day, so we drove up to Rocky Mountain National Park, and
Sorry, I'm sniffling. I can hear myself in the...
Oh, it's okay. We get it. We know the pregnancy vibes.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up driving up to the national park, which is where we got to see you guys, and it was just chaos.
Why don't you talk about your Colorado? It's first time traveling with 2 under 2.
Yeah, honestly, like I was really over-prepared for the actual travel experience, which went very well. But both of the kids got sick. Silas actually got RSV, which is wild because let me just say this to anyone, like, I thought that if your baby got RSV, that they were immediately going to be in the hospital on a breathing machine, like fighting for their life.
Yeah.
So he like got a cough. He's like, what, 3 months at this point, maybe almost 4 months. He got a cough. We've always both been really paranoid about RSV. That's like the only thing that we had ever been paranoid about.
Yeah.
And
especially with which like I feel the same way, but like especially having like winter, well, I guess Monty was a winter baby, but still like a little baby going into the winter time.
Yeah, and again, just like on social media, it makes it seem like it's constantly don't kiss baby because of RSV. RSV is always the like trigger scary thing. So he had like a little cough. Tanner was like, you should take him to the pediatrician just to make sure. And I'm like, okay, take him in. They're like, yep, he has RSV, like did the test and everything. I'm like, okay. And they're like, okay. I'm like, okay. Are you transferring me to children's tonight?
Yeah.
Like, where's his breathing machine? They're like, can you give him Tylenol, I guess? I'm like,
yeah.
Excuse me. They were just like, yeah.
He's fighting for his life.
If it gets worse, just call us. And I'm like, what will you do if it gets worse? And they're like, well, just reevaluate. And I'm like, okay. It never got worse. It basically, that was the peak that day. But Monty was also sick. He was sick. Just overall fussy vibes.
Yeah.
Okay. We go to Colorado. We're in a hotel room with 2 babies. They both wake up at night. I have one of them sleeping in the bathroom. It just was like true survival mode. And Monty was so fussy. Like, I have never seen her like this. I don't know if it was the sickness, elevation, what it was. She just was crying. She just cried the whole trip. Like, I would put on a show for her. I would give her a snack. I would give her a drink. She would have everything. She would just cry. Like, I don't know what was going on. By the end of the trip, she was fine.
Yeah, like when we met up with them, she was still kind of like Jenna had been texting me about like how like sad she was, and when we did see them, like she was still kind of that way. Like I think she had just woken up.
Oh, she
and
was very much that way when we saw you. I unfortunately like was quite embarrassed by it
oh,
because like your whole family was there and she was just crying and I was like, it's not that I'm like embarrassed of her. I'm just like, I'm sorry, like I'm meeting you guys and I literally like
I
can't
just don't
even
know
say
what.
hi to you basically. Like she's just crying so loud.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, not obviously, like I believed Jenna the whole time, but then to see it, I was just like, this is so
Please.
sad. But you FaceTimed us after we had gotten home, because we got home a few days before you guys, and you were like, would you believe that this is the same child? And she's literally doing laps around their like living room that they're staying in, and she's like, hi.
So
Hi.
happy. Well, after we shot the wedding, we drove up to the mountains. We were in an Airbnb instead of a hotel, and it was just much better vibes. She started feeling better. Everyone was vibing there. So ended up being good at the end, but the beginning was quite rough. And also, the wedding that I shot, I won't go into too much details. The wedding was gorgeous, so fun, beautiful.
Couple was great. Couple was hot.
Oh, yes.
Also, a random anecdote is that we left a few days before you guys, and her bride was on our flight.
Yes, wait, I forgot to tell you. I told her that.
Oh,
like,
really?
When she was getting ready, I was like, yeah, my friend saw you on her flight.
She's like, oh.
No, she loved it.
Oh, really? Yeah, because Cole and I were sitting at the front, and she walked on in all white bride earrings and everything, and she said, what do you feel like is the best way to store my wedding dress? And I just like was like, what are the odds? And because I knew they were from Pittsburgh too, and so I texted Jen. I was like, send me a picture of your bride. And then I was like, yeah, that's 100% her. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so funny. But on the way home, we took this huge bus. Like, it was up in the mountains, and then, like, the hotel was, like, 30 minutes away. But it snowed 16 inches overnight. So we're in this huge shuttle going back to the hotel. Everyone's drunk, obviously not me. And it's just, like, night. We're going super slow. It's super windy. It's, like, obviously very treacherous conditions. And basically everyone ended up puking on the bus. Like, everyone. The people who weren't puking from being drunk started puking from the other people puking. That would
be me.
And it was terrifying. But yes, we made it through. 202 travel. We did get delayed and had to sit on the runway for 2 hours, and I left my phone in the Denver airport. But we got it back. All is well. And yeah, here we are.
Here you are. I feel like everything, like not like that it was like bad, but like you've been really in your 202 vibes since getting back from that trip. Like you guys are firing on all cylinders, I feel like.
I feel like we are too. Well, the biggest thing is that we sleep train Silas, which
controversial.
Do whatever you want with your kids. I'm traumatized from Monty not sleeping, so I sleep train him. So he's doing great now, and then I dropped her nap. So she just turned 2. She's not napping at all, but she's going to bed at like 7 p.m.
That's
sleeping.
A great bedtime. I know. Does your evening feel like so long just because the sun's down by 4:30?
Literally, Ashley. So like she has always been like she has low sleep needs. Like she needs to not sleep a lot to function, but she needed it to be a specific way. So she would wake up and she wouldn't be able to fall asleep for a nap until like 2 p.m. Then I would have to wake her up after like 30 minutes to an hour. So I'm not even getting any time to do anything. Also, Silas would usually be up in that time.
Yeah.
And then by the time she was tired again, it was like 9:30, 10 p.m. So
I can't imagine a kid running around at 10 p.m.
I have not had an evening to watch a show, clean my house, do work, hang out with my husband for 2 years.
Yeah.
And now my mental health is skyrocketed.
How many, because she still wakes up occasionally.
Oh, she still wakes up every night.
Okay.
But she woke up before too, and now I get to have an evening. So it's like,
do you feel like your sleep is better though? Especially also talk about the floor bed.
Yes, it transferred her to a floor bed. She falls asleep so much faster too without the napping. I would be fighting her for like 30 minutes to an hour to go down for a nap or bed. And now it's like 5 minutes asleep, and then she's usually up once or maybe sometimes twice. But I think she likes the floor bed. She's obviously has much more room to roll around. We actually stayed at my friend Madison's house this weekend, and I put her inside of a pregnancy pillow.
Oh,
And she really liked it, so I just put her in
me.
one tonight. She's gonna be in one,
Oh,
like in her bed.
how
So
cozy. That actually could be crazy, because like when she wakes up, you go in and comfort her.
yeah,
But what if she feels like you're already there?
I know. Well, that's the thing is like I will usually like try to like replace myself with blankets when I sneak away, so that maybe she feels like I'm like right up against her. But yeah, she's a mama's girl, and she wants her mom to hug her in the night. I can't blame her.
I am amazing.
But everyone is doing so much better. So we are doing great, and I am definitely pro sleep training. If anyone wants to talk about it, I would be happy to, because I know it's like so controversial, and I was so hesitant with her because I had nothing to go off of.
You had nothing to go off of, and I feel like it is a very, like, which, like, as I'm about to, like, there is this space within pregnancy, but, like, to fully enter him being on the outside of the womb of judgment, like, there's no way, like, she listens to this. There's a girl I went to high school with that was just, like, I posted, like, my birth intentions, I guess, and she was like, I will say, like, in which are,
oh no,
yeah, which my birth intentions are to go without an epidural, but I'm not afraid to admit when I need one. And she was like, I will say, if you do feel like okay with the epidural, I do notice that a lot of people will get it if they are like going into it thinking that like they're okay with getting it. And I was like, correct.
You're like, that's
what I said.
That I would be okay with getting it.
It's just crazy, like,
Yeah.
the boldness on people to, like, I haven't spoken to her in so long, and she was like, hey, just a little advice, mama to mama.
Not mama to mama.
Like, I'm just like, okay, like, to be fair, on that post, I might have said, like, advice or, like, tips welcome or something, but she was like, yeah, I will say if
You're
you're,
like, the tips are like
how to make it through.
Yeah, doing it naturally,
Yeah.
not telling me that I can't do it.
Yeah. But yeah, like what I was gonna say is there's so much like judgment, and that girl also like will post and be like, this is why like you need to have them in your bed 24/7, and it's like, why can't we all literally just be like, hey, every kid's different.
We're all doing
And what
our
worked for
best.
Monty is not going to work for Silas, and vice versa. Like,
Truly, like, having 2 kids has just shown me more than anything that when people say like it is a temperament thing, or like every kid's different, every kid has different needs, like I was always just kind of like, okay, yeah, like I guess. And now I'm like, oh yeah, like I totally see it now that you do have to handle every child differently, and they will all do different things. They just will. I used to always think this about parenting, like if a kid does something, it's because their parents either showed it to them or didn't discipline it away, if that makes sense. Like, say a kid just hits another kid. I was like, oh, well, you either let them do that or you never corrected them.
Yeah.
But it's like, no.
And the first
they'll
time
just
Monty
get
hit
mad
someone
and hit someone, and you're just like, oh, that's just like their human reaction to like,
yeah,
you took my toy. And it's like, yeah, obviously you're gonna discipline it, but I used to always think like whenever people would be like, oh, my kid like does this, it's like, that's because you did something wrong
clearly,
or right.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, they actually legit will do whatever they want.
Yeah. That's why it is like so, which I feel like a lot of like not that anyone's like said anything to me, but like it is just so funny. Like I feel like I just have no expectations for like what Cohen's going to be like at all. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'm just a very go with the flow person, and so I'm like, yeah, well, I guess we'll just see. But like I know, like, I mean, even from you, especially like when people are like, my kids will never like do this because I say so, and it's like, oh, okay. Sure. Like
I'm just so excited for Cohen to be born.
Oh, I know. Me too.
It feels like you have been pregnant forever.
Thank you.
From
That's
my
extremely
point of view.
that's extremely validating.
I think because also I was pregnant when you got pregnant, and then I gave birth. It like that feels like it was such like a long like thing for me, and then I'm like, oh, you're literally still pregnant since then.
Literally, I think when Silas was born and we came and visited you guys, I was like 10 weeks pregnant. And
really?
yeah,
I think
it was
further than that.
Well, it might have been because like I found out at like it's like days at the end of April, but like I always am like, like May 1st or whatever. And so I guess I would have been like 3 months at that point because he was born July 1st. And but yeah, I remember like being in the hospital, and Tanner like made a joke of like, won't be long before you're back here, and then he was like, actually it's gonna be a long time. And I'm like, it will be a long
Pregnancy is so long.
Why does it have to be so long?
Like, you think like when you take this test, you're like, oh my god, I'm having a baby, and then you're like, okay, when is it?
Literally, when is it?
When will it be? So you have been telling me that you want him to be born on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or New Year's Day.
Yeah,
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, literally any of them. So I think I definitely said this to the podcast before I stopped, but my due date got adjusted. So I was January 7th when I like put like my ovulation and like the last day of my period into my app and everything. And I was like January 7th. And I was like, okay. And I will say, let me stand on my soapbox for a minute, that I do not like the doctors I've been going to. They're very fine. But for now, what I have been paying out of pocket to go to acupuncture and chiropractor, what I receive from them is like
so much better.
So much better. They like deeply care, and maybe that's like just like that one-on-one experience. But I've been going to like an office in Monroeville. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but like whatever. And I rotate between all of the doctors, and so it's not like I have a doctor, like,
right.
And so I've just been seeing like different people at that practice, and literally they're just like, feeling good, and I'm like, yeah. And like, because I'm not high risk for anything, like, it's kind of nice in some ways that like I get in and out. But then like I go to my acupuncturist, and she's like, okay, to ease your body in labor, let's use this tincture. To prep your body, like, let's take this supplement, like, just helping me like prepare my body. And some people might be listening and be like, yeah, that's just the medical system. But I'm like, I just feel like they're like, all right. And I might have said this at one point, but the very first appointment we ever went to, I was 8 weeks pregnant. The nurse trapped us for like a half hour and told us all of the like, oh, you're gonna be feeling this in the second trimester, like was going through like this booklet with us. And
kind
it was
of like doom forecasting vibes.
Yeah, but like, and the cherry on top of it was, she said, and once you get there to deliver, don't be a hero, get the epidural, and your life will be great. And I was like, okay, like, like,
yeah,
that's
just
like,
tell me the options. Don't tell me exactly what to do.
So it was just very like, that was like our first taste of it, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then since then, like, everyone is very nice, like no one's been mean to me, like everyone's been respectful of like my choices and stuff, but they're all just kind of like, all right, you good? And I'm like, yeah. And like, I was texting my friend the other day, and I was just like, the 20 is like you need not need to, but like, I was so excited to go for my anatomy scan. That was very fun, like to see him and everything. But I swear, from 20 weeks to like 36 weeks, you do not need to go to the doctor.
Oh, well, I would do like video visits.
I have beef with video visits. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Did they give you like the
heart
cuff
monitor or whatever?
Yeah. And so they gave that to me at my first appointment. And then my doctor was like, honestly, your next one could probably be video. And I was like, okay, cool, that sounds great. Also, I live 5 minutes away from the office, so I'm also like, going in isn't the end of the world. You live an hour away, so it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I, like, they were like, okay. A nurse called me and was like, we're gonna start your visit. Like, can you do, she said, do you have a way of, like, getting she said, sorry, have you taken your weight and your blood pressure recently? And I said, no. And there was just this silence, and she said, well, can you? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, like, I literally had never opened the blood pressure, like, cuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Cole, like, putting her on mute and being like, Cole, where's the blood pressure monitor? Like, running around the house. I don't even know if I have a scale. Like, and, like,
Yeah.
was, like, freaking out. And I was just like, I'm sorry, like, no one told me I was gonna have to do this. And she was like, oh, sorry. Yeah, like, I need that. And I was like, okay, cool. And so, like, luckily my mom was here and she used to be a nurse. And so she helped me with the blood pressure thing because I couldn't figure it out. And then obviously just stepped on a scale and told her everything. And she was like, okay, like, the doctor will be on shortly. And I was like, all right. And then he got on and he was like, still feeling good? And I was like, yep. And so because of all of that stress and them not telling me I needed to do that, I'm like, I wish I would have drove 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty typical of like the appointments to just be like, you good? Okay, bye. Which is why I would always do the video visits, because I was like, I am not driving an hour and an hour back just to have you take my weight, blood pressure, and like listen to heartbeat.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling kicks and I feel good, bye. Like, I'm not coming.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, obviously that's different for people that like are maybe more high risk or anything.
You will be delivering at the hospital though, right? Not
Yeah.
at the Monroeville location.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, if you're with the midwives there, I think you will love them.
I'm very excited. So, like, I didn't get set up technically with like the midwives at McGee, but the original doctor I saw at this location is a midwife. And so she was like, there's always a midwife on call. You don't have to be with the midwives at McGee.
Yeah.
You could be at McGee and then request the midwife on call to come and be with you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. I think that you will love them. And also, I think like for your next pregnancy, it would be worth it to go there for your appointments and see them, because everyone, if you're a listener, knows that for my first one, I did a home birth, and then this one I did traditional, like at a hospital with midwives, and they were just like, hello, tell me how you're doing. Like, so
You didn't come in contact with like one mean nurse or anything?
no, never.
Oh, okay.
And they were so like, they cared so much about like my trauma from my last birth. Like, every appointment they would bring it up, like, how can we make you feel like more safe? And even when I came in to give birth, like, it was in my charts, every single nurse was like, we know you had a bad experience, this experience is going to be so much better. Like, they were dedicated. Have such a good birth. I cannot wait. And also, when I was there, this obviously is not to like be scary. You know that like if you're trying to give birth naturally, a lot of times people will make some sounds.
Yes.
When I was...
Well, to be fair, all I've been consuming media wise is birth vlogs.
Did you watch that one I sent you, the Sarah Therese one?
Oh no, I need to.
She did it at home in her bathtub, and it is a really good video. But anyways.
But I know what you're about to say, but like, yeah, the way people, like the noises people make, Cole and I we're always like, why are they doing that?
I know, I have videos of me in labor with Monty, and I'm like, why am I embarrassed?
Literally.
But when I was giving birth, there was a lot of sound in the other room, and I was like, oh, was a baby just born? And they're like, oh no, that's a woman laboring unmedicated. I was like, oh,
sorry, I said it. I moved the mic. Oh yeah, no, yeah, literally all of the vlogs I watch, they're like, oh. I'm like, I'm terrified.
What is your birth mantra right now?
Oh, I mean,
slay.
Slay queen. It's funny, so I was like, is this weird to say? I don't think so. So at my birth, I don't even know if I told you this. I think I did. Cole's gonna be there, obviously, my mom and my friend Katie. And Katie is like she's one of my best friends, but is also a mother of two and has gone through two labors. And I'm not gonna like go into detail about like her births and everything, but I find both of her birth stories like very inspiring. And she also is just she's very good at like, not like, I don't know, maybe like reasoning with me and bringing like me down to earth. Like if I go to talk to her like about something that I'm upset by, she very quickly is to be like, well, like, could you see where they said this? Could you see? And I was just
she's
like,
very
grounding.
Very good at being like direct and not being like emotional about stuff. She's very logical.
Yes. And so I was like, I need that type of energy in that delivery room. And so I am excited to have her there. But I sent her, my mom, and Cole a like list of excuse me, stuff that I was like, here's like how you guys can support me during labor, at least how I assume. Like, I want to be like cared for. And I put like a few phrases on there to like remind me of. And I think what is going to freak me out the most is that like I just haven't like gone through a lot of pain in life, like physically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so natural that like, well, I'm sure every woman listening is like, yeah, duh. But like, this is the only type of like good pain, essentially.
Like rewarding pain.
Yeah, like you don't, there's nothing successful about kidney stones where it's like, thank God I like passed them or whatever. Like, it's like on the other side of this, you get handed a baby, and it's like no matter how you get there, you should be proud of yourself that you were able to make this baby for 9 months and whatever. But because I haven't experienced a lot of pain, I'm nervous that like I'll get to a certain point where I'll like freak out and be like, something's wrong. Like,
is it supposed to be this bad?
literally like, and yeah, just kind of like start to panic instead of like very much like reason with it. So I told like them in that like list of like, remind me that like the harder that it gets like is a good sign that like he's really close.
You are.
And so yeah, I'm so interested.
I'm so interested. Like, yeah. I just can't picture what your birth will be. Like, I can't decide if I have like a prediction that's going to be like, you're in false labor for a while, or if it like, why could I see you just like accidentally giving birth at home? Like, am I like, what if it was just an hour?
Yeah.
My one friend had a 45-minute labor, and she was planning a home birth, so she had everything ready, but like her midwife didn't even make it.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
that's
what
crazy.
If that happened to you?
Well,
or what if you had like my labor and it's like 3 days long?
Which also, shout out, like I already knew that you were tough, like for both of your labors, but specifically Monty. But I was watching a home birth the other day where the woman like had a cervical lip and all of like the positions they were moving her into, and she was literally screaming, and Cole was like, oh my gosh. And I said, that's what Jenna had. And he was like, oh my god.
So Cole's been watching the birth videos with you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really like, I feel like that's so good. Tanner never liked watching when it would like actually be coming out, which I can't blame him. I don't really like watching that either.
I like, yeah, to be fair, I always am just like unmedicated birth vlogs, and then like it'll bring up like whatever, and each one is like different, but most of the time I feel like it's not like showing the baby coming out. Shot. Yeah, no.
There's like a lot of accounts on Instagram that will just post the vagina.
Like the baby the other out. Day I was like, where was I think we were at Bedford or something, and I just opened my phone
and it'll be like the sound of like,
literally,
and you're like, literally. Please, no, I'm so embarrassed.
Not in the middle of this Bedford coffee shop. The Christian hypnobirthing account is like, this woman's crowning.
Literally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just so excited to like hear how it goes. I'm so excited to see what he looks like.
I know.
See how big he is. Like, it's so crazy because I always like say I have 4 best friends who are you, Madison, my sister, and Nika. Mm-hmm. Nika now has had 2 kids. Madison had 1, and you are now having 1. And Nika had her first before I had Monty. It was like 3 months before. Oh, okay. So I didn't feel as like emotional. And then when she had her second, like it was her second. So not that it's less important, but I was just like, oh, she did it again. She did it again. But with Madison, like the fact that it was her first and that I had experienced it already, I was shocked how emotional I was. I was at a wedding, and like I could not stop crying all day. Like I was
like right after she gave birth?
No, when Matt was texting us like all of the updates, like I was a basket case, like the entire day, just being like, I hope she's okay, Tanner. What do you think's going on? Like, should I text Matt again? Should I try to call her? And like I'm like every spare minute like texting her, you are a warrior. Like I was so emotional. Then after she was born, she like breathed in meconium. Oh, okay. Eva did, the baby, and she had to go to the NICU for a little bit. And like I was crying so hard just because I was just like, I could just feel it. Like, I could just feel how she was feeling and just everything.
It
And I was
connects
just,
us.
yes. And I was just like, oh my gosh, why am I so emotional about it? And that's how I feel now that it's coming up for you. I'm like, oh my God, Ashley is going to experience this. Like, I can't. Whenever you text me that you're in labor, I will be sobbing. When you text me that he's born, I will be sobbing. Like, I just can't wait.
I know. I just can't believe it's like so soon. Like, I think, oh, I might burp. No, okay. I just think like crossing. So we had weddings up until last weekend, and when I finished, I was 36 weeks pregnant. I'm turning 37 tomorrow, and I was just like, I feel like I can finally, like, he can come in anytime now. Like,
Yeah, now I can
which it's
start
like,
doing
duh.
my like walks and my exercise.
Literally, I mean, my acupuncturist like gave me a whole list of things that was like, you can do all of these things, you can do like none of these things, you can pick and choose, but it's like the tea, the dates, and these different oils and supplements and stuff. And I am a prepper. And I feel like you would be like overwhelmed at the amount of things that I am doing.
Really?
Yeah. Like, what did you do like for Monty? Because you didn't do much for Silas, did you?
I did the tea, the dates, the raspberry tea, the dates, the mile circuits, the walking. The big thing, I think, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer. Nothing really worked for me. I think until like they were ready.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty normal, but I would always think I was going into labor after a long walk. Like, I would get such bad cramps and I would feel so much pressure. I would do like the curb walks and I'd be like, it's tonight for sure. And then like next day it was normal again.
You were like 10 days over with Monty?
9 with both.
9 with both.
So I'm like, is that my new lucky number?
Oh, that's cute.
It is cute.
But yeah, I don't want to like bring him early. Like, I'm not like at 38.
I don't believe that you can though. Like,
yeah.
I don't think like, okay, you're gonna drink this tea and like he wasn't ready, he's not developed,
now
but here he comes
yeah.
because you drank this thing. Unless it's like, I don't know. I mean, people literally go into the hospital and get Pitocin for hours. Like, the drug that makes your uterus contract, and it's like, sorry, no progress. Like, if the baby doesn't want to come out, I just don't think they will.
Yeah, that is like right now my only like fear, because my original due date was January 7th and then they adjusted it. Like, I'm just like, but what is that like based off of? Like, and they were like, oh, like, well, all of his like body parts were measuring that he should be at like 22 and a half weeks or something like that. And I was like, okay. So I am nervous if we get to like that like 41 and 4 days like mark, that they're like, okay, like, let's induce you, which obviously like everyone out there has a different opinion, but everyone that I've talked to is like, they're not going to come pick you up from your house and be like, time to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, you still do have like choice over that, but I am just nervous that it's like, well, this is what you do.
Yeah, and you're like, well, what if that wasn't my real due date? Like, you guys just moved it, which like, to be fair, you were trying to get pregnant, so you got your period 2 weeks before you conceived. So them saying that it's moved up 2 weeks, you're like, well, I had my period at that time, so how?
I know, it's so confusing. So I really that's why I really am just holding plans loosely. Like, I think if I will which it's most likely, I'm aware, especially as a first-time mom, if I pass 40 weeks, I will be like, dang.
It's interesting too with your first, because it's like, I don't know if I'm one of those people that goes over, or like our friend Shayla had her daughter at 36 weeks
right now,
completely normal.
Literally
like,
right now for me.
Some people, like, every one of their babies comes like right on time. Like, you just don't know. Everything's just, and not knowing what labor feels like, not knowing what anything is, it's so, the giddy anticipation is crazy.
I will say, like, I kind of like this like timeline that we've like been on, and like that he's due around the holidays, because it, like, I mean, granted, it brings family into town, so it's very exciting. Lou, my sister, comes home like, I don't know when we're gonna end up posting this, but she comes home on December 8th, which is only in a few days,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll be here for almost a full month, and so hopefully he's due, or he comes like in that time so she can like meet him and stuff, but like she wouldn't be here otherwise. And then my aunt is coming to visit because my sister's going to be home, and like I don't know, like our families were already planning on being together like for Christmas and everything, and now it's like, okay, well, we can be together and like wait for Cohen and stuff, and so I'm
It's
running
nice
out of
for
breath.
his birthdays too, because like people will be around,
Yeah.
especially with your parents living in Florida. They'll travel for Christmas, or you can travel for Christmas, and like his birthday will be around Christmas.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, it's gonna be within 2 weeks on either side of Christmas.
Yeah. It is Lou's birthday is December 15th. My mom's is December 30th.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so Cole I think is polling for, which I said, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but it's been like a little thing. Cole was born on Halloween, I was born on Thanksgiving, so we're like, oh, we should just have a holiday baby. But he's like, I really want him to be the first baby of the year.
Oh my gosh, that would be like he would be a star.
A star.
That would be the best
from the moment
thing of
he's
my
born.
life.
Yeah.
If he was the first baby of the year.
Yeah.
How, like, do you think it has to be, like, within the first minute? Like, this is
Making
in
them.
America, right? First baby in America. It probably has to be in the first minute,
Oh,
right?
yeah. It literally probably has to be, like, crowning at, like, 11:59 and then
Yeah.
full body out by midnight
Yeah.
in January 1st birthday.
That would be amazing.
That would be fun. Like, that's what, like, and also, like, it being Christmas, and like we decorated our house like a little earlier than we usually do because love being home 24/7, and I was like, I just need it to look a little prettier. And so I said to Cole, I was like, like imagine if it was like summertime. It's just like,
yeah.
I don't want to go outside, I want to be in my house, but like it's sunny and like hot and I want to go to the pool.
I feel like I should. That's what I think. I would like my next baby to be winter again because I liked it better.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to love a summer postpartum because I was like, it'll get me out of the house. You can't swim. It's too hot.
You also giving birth in July, it was like you couldn't swim for like practically the rest of
the
summer. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really hot. I don't have air conditioning. So hot in my house. I had a toddler to carry around and a baby, and he was like sucking on my nipple, and I'm sweating, and she's grabbing me, and I'm just like, please. So I definitely would like, I like a winter postpartum.
Yeah.
And I just love the coziness right now. We just put up our decorations too.
Yeah, you went and got your tree.
Wait, I can't wait for you to see it. We are doing our annual
Oh, yes.
Christmas party on Friday.
Is this 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
Did we do it before Monty? Or was the first year that we did it Monty?
No, because we were in the Forest Hills house, but I feel like I remember like having that puzzle out.
Maybe, well, we did snow
The
days.
gift
How long have we
exchange.
been at... Oh, all right, well. I think we did it with
Who
like the
knows?
bigger group, and then like we dwindled it once you moved to Ligonier, but...
Yeah. But we're having our party on Friday. I can't wait for you to see the decorations. Tanner really leveled it up this year.
Ooh.
And let me just say, I am going to be leveling up my gift wrapping
Ooh.
game, okay? My friend has a small business where she makes wrapping paper. She designs it. I
That's
just
cool.
picked it up from her today, okay? I'm doing that mixed with like some plain wrapping paper as well. I got a bunch of ribbons. I got beautiful little tags. I'm ready to
It's
be
mom
in
era.
my like I'm ready to be thriving mom and not
Yes.
surviving mom.
Okay, I like
and
that.
I'm feeling good. We have multiple Christmas trees in the house. We have
Cute.
the outside lights. We have wreaths on the windows. We have candles in the windows. We're just
Your house was meant to be... your house was meant for Christmas.
It really was. Also, we converted our fireplace. It was gas. We converted it to wood burning. Wow. I just can't wait for you to be there Friday and
Wow.
just feel the coziness. I'm going to make soup.
I'm so excited.
I
Anytime
can't
that
wait.
again, I don't know where this is gonna go, when this is gonna go out, so I'm like, if this comes out before I've had my baby, then do this to me. But for anyone in your life, literally, like, we've had a few people be like, oh, like, we want to see you guys. Please just offer to bring over food to my house. Anyone can come
Yes.
over to my house.
Yes.
Bring me some food, and let's just sit here and let's hang out. But
Yes.
I'm like, I'm not trying to go anywhere. Like, I'm not saying that like towards your house, because it's like you have children and like, and your house was meant for Christmas. But
And you guys are besties enough that it's not like this, hi, welcome to my home.
yeah,
Like,
and
you
then
can
be
do
be
whatever.
out by 9 p.m.
Yeah.
But I am, yeah, I just love anything cozy. Like, even tonight, like, Jen and I are going out to dinner after this to celebrate our birthdays, and I was like, I feel like this is the first time I've been out in weeks. Like, we went out for my
Yes.
birthday last week, but like, then outside of that, I'm just like, we're at home every day.
I know the snow has been so cozy.
I love it.
I'm loving it too. Honestly, like last winter traumatized me because like Monty wasn't sleeping and it was just, she was at this age where like she couldn't walk yet. She was so like, she hated her life. She was miserable
was hating
all
it.
the time. And now I feel like she enjoys being home. Like, it doesn't feel like I have to leave the house every day or she's going to be a psycho. Like, I just feel like we've been enjoying being at home more, and she got a little slide for her birthday, so that's
Is it still a hit?
really been keeping her entertained. Yes.
Oh, nice.
I actually hid like all of her presents besides the slide.
Oh,
and
that's
she's
wonderful.
just still going on the slide. I'm like genuinely not really planning to get her much for Christmas because
Just give it all back to her that she got for her birthday.
She has so much stuff from her birthday still. And yeah, so I'm excited for this winter. I think it's going to be good, and hopefully, yeah, not lots of sleep.
Yeah.
No traumatizing this year.
No trauma this year.
No seasonal depression, no postpartum depression for you.
Yeah, I have never, well, I've gone through like a slight wave of like, oh, I feel like I'm just sad all the time. I don't even know if I would call it depressed.
Was that because of that whole situation that
Yeah.
happened? That was also like a situation bad happened to you
Yeah.
that was making you sad.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah, there was just a lot of grief in that season. But I always think of the person that like wrote like on the Assumptions episode, and they're like, I feel like Ashley doesn't deal with mental health issues. And I'm like, yeah, like not
Yeah,
really. And so, but I am very like reasonable. And so I'm like, I'm ready to get my shit rocked, essentially. Like, I'm open to it. Like,
I'm open to the rocking.
I'm open to the slight rock. I would appreciate if it didn't, but I just know that it affects every woman differently, and even the most stable of women can be taken out by it. And so I'm just,
Yeah.
especially with the lack of sun, I'm like, all right, how's this gonna go?
I think it's going to be good. And if not, you have good people around you.
Yes.
Cole
Oh my
is
gosh.
great. He will be very supportive of you for
Yeah.
sure. And like you're luckily like have a lot of friends that are moms.
Yeah.
And get it. Like,
I have a lot of people that are good at anticipating needs. Like, I just know you, Katie, my mom, and like so many, Shayla, like other of our friends are just gonna be like,
how's it going?
how's it going? Also, I'm on your doorstep with food, like, and I'm turning around and going back home, like, if you don't
Yeah.
want to talk, like.
Yeah.
And so I have no fear of like feeling like supported.
Lonely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, you might feel lonely. That's okay too.
Yeah. And
I feel like the nights are what make you feel lonely.
when nobody else is awake.
That's when you have to get an audiobook or a show in your AirPods. Do you have AirPods?
Yeah. I need new ones.
That changed my life. Truly.
Give you something to live for.
It like makes you romanticize it. You're like, oh, they're up, but here I go. It's time to check back into my fantasy world.
Yeah. No, that, like, I am also interested to see how breastfeeding goes and
Yes.
that whole adventure. But then again, I'm like, if it's not working out, there are plenty of avenues to explore and stuff like that. So I'm holding everything very open-handed, and I'm excited to report back.
I can't wait. Do you think that if you give birth on Christmas, do you think we should record again before then?
We should
Or
probably try to. I would love to
do one more, and then the next one would be your birth?
do one more after this.
Yeah.
I would do that and kind of catch more up on
life.
Life,
Yeah,
yeah.
because we talked a lot about baby stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Which it's kind of fun that it's like a new era of the podcast, which we won't make the whole podcast about being moms.
We will still do stories and everything, but we just wanted to surprise you with this one. So maybe we'll release this in a few weeks, and then we'll do questions for next time.
Yes, like what have you been up to? You guys can ask us questions, or we'll just say some other stuff. I wrote some stuff down to talk about that we obviously didn't talk about, but one of them I was going to say was current obsessions.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll leave you guys wanting more.
Exactly. We have to get to dinner that we're definitely going to be late to at this point.
Shoot.
But we are so back, and we love you guys. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next week.
Bye.